Alright, finally getting around to a garden update, but first I'm going to go back a little bit. I've been actually sick for about the last week and a half, and this is going back to cleaning up the rest of that wood. And I never found a big snake that my wife saw, but I did find this one skin in there that was probably about 3 feet long when you stretched it out. So there was definitely a snake living in the pile, but it was gone. And this hookaroon, this thing's been pretty amazing. I picked up every piece of wood in that pile with it, and you can see I missed a lot of shots and, hit stuff with it, and I thought I'd damage it, but it's just impossible to damage. It's really, I'm so glad that I bought it. It really was a back saver moving all that wood, and it did pick up every single piece in that pile. So, I have to highly recommend these things if you're going to be moving a lot of wood, splitting it and moving it. Anyhow, this is going back a couple weeks ago, and I got everything pretty much cleaned up. You can see there was still a mess there after the wood was gone, but that wasn't too bad. So then it's back up to the garden, and we've been eating radishes for a couple months now. Every time I go down, I grab a handful of radishes and bring them up, and that assortment was really nice to have. And we had lettuce for probably about 5 weeks now, and 4 or 5 weeks, and that's really been enjoyable. My wife's got her lavender, the first batches of it all cut and hung in the garage now, so she's got some white and purple this year. And you can see had a couple roses on the rose bushes out front. They did pretty good. I was pretty surprised with all the rain that we've had. It's been really just a terrible rainy year. And there's our daisies there. They were just gigantic this year. I couldn't believe the size of the flowers, but they did come in good. In June, I think they said we had 24 of 30 days it rained. It was just unbelievable this year. And the little chicks and hens there, a bunch of them are starting to go up and put some sprouts up with some little flowers on them there. You can see they're real pretty. And then those fig trees that I planted, they got started. They're really doing good. Lots of leaves and lots of new growth. So I think they'll be ready to go in the ground next year. And now I'm going to head down to the raised beds up by the house. And this is what's left of the spinach. It all went to seed. And now I'm saving the seeds. I'll collect them in about another couple days to have for next year's spinach. And then there's some of the Japanese cucumbers growing up the trellis here, just getting started. And the parsley from last year pretty much has taken over and gone to seed now. So I've got to start collecting that seed soon. And there's some of the lettuce that still survived the heat there. And here's some of the romaine lettuce there also. And the garlic's not really looking that good there either. The weeds have been growing like crazy. And then down through the gate to the other beds, and this is where I stuffed the rest of the tomato plants. And I mean, it really wasn't the right thing to do, but they are all growing and doing pretty good, even though they're packed in there. So I had a couple little tomatoes off of the plant there. And this golf cart has really been one handy thing around the house. It's really been great for getting around and getting out to the garden. And there's our little girl. She goes to the door and barks like this whenever she wants to go out for a ride in it. She's got us trained well now. So I'm going to just head down to the garden, take the cart, save my legs a little bit. I'm still kind of weak and haven't really recovered yet. And here you can see the garden's coming along. It's way behind where it should be right about now, but it's still, it's finally starting to look a little bit better and pick up, and we'll just go through each section of it. Now, across the top up there, these are the squash. There's a couple different types of squash. There's some yellow squash, and I think there's 3 different types of zucchinis up there. So the plants are all just finally, starting to come along now. And there are a lot of small squash starting. Probably another 2 or 3 days we should have the first zucchinis, I think. And these are just some ribbed zucchinis that we tried this year, a different type. You can see them coming in. And next row is the strike beans, and they're just full of weeds. I've got to get out there and weed some. And then these are the butternuts, and they're just barely getting going here. You can see I've mulched everything with the cyclone rake. It's about 40 or 50 bags of mulch so far down there. And those were some pumpkins, and these are some of the spaghetti squash and some more pumpkins here. And that last row was the actual Long Island cheese pumpkins, and they all died from just too much water. The whole area was flooded for quite a while, so those plants didn't make it. It's kind of overgrown down there now. A lot of sunflowers over here did reseed themselves from last year like they always do. And there's my compost pile, and in these beds of compost that I had over here, I did start some, these are some of those Big Max pumpkins I started in this first one. And then the second one, I just put a bunch of these giant sunflower seeds and trying to see how they do there. And now it's time to head inside to the raised bed area here. And this area is, it's been doing pretty good. Walk down this one row here down the side. These are all the pepper plants I put in. Now you can see the plants are tiny, but they're loaded with fruit. These are those jalapenos, and they really are a fantastic flavor with zero heat. I've been enjoying them. And you can see the plants are still tiny because we didn't have enough sunshine to get them growing. And I've also had some problems with like brown spots on them just from too much rain. But there's some of the banana peppers there, and I did put in a nice mixture of peppers. Here's some. These are like supposed to be a chocolate colored pepper when they mature, and a couple of red ones starting to come in there. And then I think these are the Everoskis, they call them. And you can see they're turning red. And there you can see those spots that I'm talking about. I did toss a bunch of peppers with them. And these are the Jimmy Nardellos. These really are doing good. You can see the plants are just loaded. But like I said, the pepper plants are about half the size of what they normally are this time of the year. So I'm hoping we get some sunshine to really help them along there. And those are the bell peppers. You can see that, tons of peppers on them, but the plants are tiny. It's just pretty amazing. And some marigolds down there. And right around the end there's a couple more zucchinis I threw in there just to be safe in case the bugs or anything kill the other ones, because you just can't be without zucchinis. So they're just, they're starting to do pretty good there. And then there's the onions going to seed there. And a couple of the purple Russian tomatoes I stuck in there, and they're doing pretty good too. And then these are the Tricolor Beans that I planted, and they did like the weather for some reason, and they're about ready to pick. Probably another day or two we'll cook up the first batch of them. You can see there'll be green, yellow, and purple beans in there. And they're all starting to, you can see all the little ones that are starting to grow now. And the next box up is, I just filled that with shallots. I just put as many in there as I could get in there. And you can see they're just about done now. They don't have much more to grow. They're just all that moisture that we had, I think, really made them grow fast this year. So, every one of the ones you plant turns into a group of a couple new shallots. So they'll probably be coming out pretty soon. And then we head back to this box, and there's a lot of weeds in with the beets, but there's the beets, and there's some rainbow chard at the end of that. You can see there's where, pretty much all that wood is stacked. They're like 6.5 foot high stacks, each of them, and 12 foot wide, and that thing was 24 feet long, and I still have a little more wood to get stacked in there, so that'll be next year's wood. And then this last box here has got some of the Chinese long beans in the back there, and then the basil, and here's the cilantro that my wife's been using a lot of. That's getting ready to go to seed almost. Then we had really bad luck with the okra. I tried a different type of okra this year. I normally just plant the same one every year and have great luck. This year I tried a new variety, and only wound up with 8 seeds germinating out of 4 rows there. So not real happy about that, but hopefully it'll be enough to keep us going. And we're going to go down the other aisle here, and these are the eggplants. You can see they're really, now that the sun's starting to come out and stuff, the bugs are coming out, and they're really starting to get chewed to bits by bugs there, the plants. So I'll show you in a little while. I put some neem oil on them. And so here's the next bin of eggplants, and you can see they're all loaded with flowers and stuff. The leaves don't look that great, but the plants really are still doing halfway decent there. And here's a couple more eggplants here, and then some of the pole beans for the Japanese beetles. And I did lose one eggplant right there. That's the only plant I lost of everything that I started in the house. So I was happy about that. All that wind we had in the spring was really hard on them too. So I expected to lose more. And these are some of the mini bell peppers, and same thing here is tiny plants with just hundreds of peppers on them. So hopefully the plants will get a chance to take off. And here's my habaneras, and they actually died back to just the stem from all the wind there and just came back recently. So they're behind everything else, but they're starting to do good. And then the Anaheim chili peppers back there, and they've got quite a few peppers started on them. You really can't see it, but we'll be eating them in a not too long future. Then I made a big mistake putting like 4 tomato plants in each of those bins, but I had no other choice because the garden was too wet to plant, and I didn't want to lose the plants. So those are some Roma tomatoes, and these are my Amish paste, and they're really kind of getting overgrown, and hopefully they survive. I don't know, we'll see, but they do have tons of tomatoes on them, so looks like as long as the plants make it, we should have plenty. And there's the dill in that next bin over at the bin full of dill that'll be going to seed probably about the time the cukes are ready. And then there's some new edamames that we tried. These are giant edamame, so waiting to see what they are, but we did have poor germination on them too. And then here's a 2 bins full of pickling cucumbers, and I thought I could train them to grow up those poles there and go over the fence, but turned out they've got a mind of their own, and I'm going to be doing a lot of digging through to find the cucumbers, because there's really hundreds of small ones on there now, and they should be ready in a week or 2. And then here's another bin of 4 tomato plants. These are the German Johnsons there, and they've got a lot of ton of tomatoes on them. They're a little bit packed in there tight, and I'm having a hard time keeping up with pruning them and stuff. But they are doing all right, I guess. And these are the Principes, and same thing, loaded with blossoms and small tomatoes. So we'll see how they do. Probably should have just put 1 in each of these bins to be safe, but I wasn't sure. And then there's the Paul Robesons on the end there. And my marigolds I started are all doing good too. Hopefully helping to keep some of the bugs away. And there's 2 bins of carrots that I've got to really get transplanting on. I've got to spend a little more time out here now that I'm feeling better. And so that's pretty much an overview of everything that I've got planted and how it's doing right at this point in time. And I did wind up putting up one of those solar LED lights up on a couple poles there. You see, it's about 18 feet in the air there. And we were having a lot of trouble with deer coming right up to the fence and stuff this year for some reason. And that light comes on, and I've got that sensor set, so, it picks up out in the yard there, and that helps keep them away, it looks like, so. Now this is what I put on the eggplants, something called Neem Oil. One of my subscribers told me to try this last year, and I figured I'd give it a try. It was quite expensive. It was like $10 for this little container of it, but it's supposed to be a totally organic type solution to help control the bugs and pests. So I figured I'd try it, and everything's dry now, and I'm figuring out just brace them on now and check it in the morning and see exactly if it does help out or what it does. I've never tried it before. And there's my first Japanese beetle I found while I was out there spraying. So that's pretty much it. Jumped in the cart here, and I'm headed back up to the house. done playing with the garden today, and I did start up a grill full of smoked chicken legs a little while ago. It'll be my first real meal in like after a week and a half of eating rice, bread, bagels, cheese, and stuff like that. So this is really gonna taste good tonight. So some smoked chicken wings and some potato wedges I did on the grill today. Doctors found I had a hiatal hernia a couple months ago and put me on some drugs, and actually all my problems were caused by the side effects of the drug. So you never know, sometimes the drugs are worse than the problem itself. So anyhow, I just thought I'd do a quick update on the garden here and just let you see exactly at what point it's at now. Hopefully we get some more sunshine, everything will start taking off a little bit better. Yeah, this has definitely been a wet year, lacking a lot of sunshine. So hopefully, that'll change now. I think we're supposed to get pretty much a week of rain coming up this week, it sounds like, and then the weather pattern could change after that. So who knows? You have to take what you get. But you could see it really did do a number on the lower end of my garden there. It just is still mud, and luckily I was able to get mulch in on everything else and get some drainage dishes to get the moisture off of there and stuff. So everything is finally starting to come around now. Got a bunch of videos hopefully that I can catch up on in the next week or two. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.